It's your pilot here. Pilot Captain Green Thumb with spring fever. Flying over the Upper West Side of Manhattan in search of a garden. And why not? Spring is finally upon us. I am looking for a garden where there may be a plant, or a tree, or a shrub, or even a vine, who will tell us a story about urban garden life in New York City. And I think I may have just found my narrator. A kiwi vine wrapped around the railing of a roof garden, where it appears plants and trees and shrubs have been wrapped for the winter.
Winter was really rough this year. We got doused, and I do mean doused, in snow. Just look at my branches! Before I moved into this garden, I'm told that my gardener kept her plants and shrubs and herbs in a cold frame. A cold frame! Can you believe that in New York City? A cold frame. I guess it worked, because now nothing needs to go in a cold frame, and everything just needs to be wrapped. But you ought to wrap that soda sign too. That's a really nice antique. I'm a kiwi vine, known as Actinidia, kolomikta, and I'm entwined around this railing with my kiwi partner, Actinida. But I would love to talk with you, Mr. Green Thumb Pilot, because it is getting lonely out here, since most of my plant friends and shrubs are sleeping in their burlap-wrapped containers. Probably noticed them when you were flying over this location. Tell you a secret, bubble wrap is in between the containers and the burlap that's covering them. Everything is tied together with jute. Even my container is wrapped, as you can see, and it's a beautiful container. I'll show you some pictures of what it looks like when it's not wrapped and when I'm thriving. It's a fiberglass container, but it looks pretty much like terracotta. She prefers terracotta, and that's what I almost started out in, except she bought a terracotta container and it broke as she was taking it into the garden, so I have terracotta for my shard. My partner and I coordinate our colors in a beautiful way. Here we are in the early fall in a spectacular green. And then just a few weeks later, check out, if I do say so myself, our awesome yellow coloring with lovely red markings. I don't get a lot of privacy usually out here on this railing. Just look how close that neighbor's window is. And believe me, I think they check out my leaves all the time. And as far as my view of the neighbors, well, I never understand why other people don't use their outdoor space. They could have lovely plants and shrubs and herbs too. Something nice for me to look at instead of, well, you see what I mean. Another thing about life as a vine on a railing is gardeners so often insist on lights. I mean, lights are nice for people to look at, and they do add some festivity, but branches have such beauty on their own. I'm glad my gardener finally noticed this and took down the pesky lights. They were about choking me. She did put some lights up, though, around the lattice, and now I can look at the lights. And the other plants wrapped down there can look at them too. Boy, I can't wait for them to be unwrapped. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair. My gardener really does like branches. I mean, look at this contorted hazelnut branch. A contorted hazelnut has these lovely leaves that are green and burgundy. But we're talking about branches here. Look at the way these branches twist and turn in and out. My gardener appreciates the texture of them. Did you know that the contorted hazelnut is also called Harry's walking stick? See where that yellow arrow just pointed? Now that's a wrought iron plant stand. And believe it or not, that's where she keeps the Japanese maple. Well, the Japanese maple used to be in the cold frame in its early days, but now it hangs out here with me. And if you know Japanese maples, you know they change from season to season with beautiful colors. A great view for me, don't you think? I wish that music would stop cutting me off. I mean, I'm not at the Oscars making a long-winded Academy Award speech. Well, at least not yet. I want to tell you a story about what that orange arrow just pointed to. That orange arrow has just pointed to a clematis. And if my pianist would just bear with me and let me get a word in edgewise here. As you can see, it's in this big box planter with strawberry plants. And then it crawls up a lattice behind it onto that brick wall that I get to stare at, to avoid the neighbors, of course. And then it climbs on trivets that she's placed on the wall so it has a place to go and grow. Clematises love climbing, and it's always good when gardeners give them places to do so. When you do this, give them places to climb, the clematis rewards you with beautiful little flowers. There are many types of clematises and many types of flowers, but the ones you're looking at here are the beautiful white flowers you get with an autumn clematis. An autumn clematis meaning when everything is starting to wind down from the spring and summer season, the little white flowers come out. Okay, last story using arrows, but it's a funny one. Once upon a time, my gardener was preparing for a soiree. There's a lot of soirees out here. That soda sign doesn't just mean sodas, if you know what I mean. Anyway, she had set up the table in a beautiful way when the door blew shut. The door to her apartment blew shut. It was caused by a sudden wind. Well, this meant that she was locked out of her apartment. Well, now she keeps her coat hanging in between the door and her apartment to make sure that doesn't happen again. I personally think it'd be easier just to fix the door, but then I'm just a Kiwi Vine. Not that it's easy to get things fixed in New York City. I mean, once the roof to her apartment fell in. It fell in. Just look at that picture. Destroyed everything except that caller ID box. Boy, that's a handy time to have caller ID. But you did notice that ivy painted on the wall. That's the whole thing that got this garden started, and I'm so glad it did. Because now just look at my branches. As spring continues, my leaves develop splotches of white. I mean, where else could you sit here all day around a railing and look at a peony?